Good morning. Today we will be discussing this book, The Greatest Knight, The Life of William Marshal, by Thomas Asbridge. So, let's start here. So tells the story of a real-life knight. He starts as a young man taken hostage by a rival ruler, this King Stephen, and here he is mistreated heavily and tormented. And later, he is disowned as a very young man. He is disowned by his father because he has too many children, and William Marshal here is not a front-of-the-line heir to his father's wealth and his house. So he becomes a destitute young man with little money. He is taken in by his uncle and made a novice knight with the little money he has. Now, he fights somewhat and quarrels with other knights. He fights in tournaments with little result. William Marshal, at a pivotal moment of his life, a very difficult moment, meets a young Eleanor of Aquitaine, a very important figure in English history, and is taken into her service. This proves monumental for the young knight and changes his life for the better. And now he defends her multiple times and earns her trust fully. And then he meets her husband, King Henry II, and his sons. He has multiple sons, very important figures in English history. He is taken into their service as well. Now he proves himself in tourneys and on the battlefield very often. William Marshal thus becomes a very well-off and wealthy knight. He works for the young king and his sons, Henry II and Richard the Lionheart, and they grow very close. But however, a scandal erupts between William Marshal and other members of the house, and William Marshal is dismissed here. He returns as Henry II dies young. He was not by his side when he died, yet William Marshal is heartbroken. Then William Marshal is married at 40 and has many sons who fail him ultimately, as well as several daughters who later inherit his wealth. Now he works at King Henry II's court and must earn the king's trust again, after his son died and he wasn't by Henry III's side. Now, later on here, a few years after, the king suddenly dies and the Regency Council is instated. This plays a pivotal moment as William Marshal heads this Regency Council and must quarrel with other people like the Lord of the Treasury or the head of Parliament, so that they can manage this crisis. And from these results, William Marshal is lauded as an earl and spends the rest of his days tending to the next king, who was a very cruel King Philip. Now, what can we learn from this story? We can learn about wealth and power, regardless of time, and how it finds its way to a select few. This shows how wealth is distributed in medieval times and how it was acquired. Now, one of the most important ways to make money as a knight, you need to remember that an upkeep for a knight was quite heavy. And here, tournaments were a pivotal way to acquire tremendous wealth if you won. There was a chance of risk, however, if you had lost. Now, here I would like to add that William Marshal had ups and downs in his life, and he was not always the wealthy man we imagine him to be. Yet, all in all, I would say this was a phenomenal read and must be picked up by any history enthusiast and anyone who wants to study success and wealth at a different age in history. Thank you for watching.